What up, Bulls Nation? We've got a live CHGO Bulls coming up for y'all right around the corner. Today's show, we are joined by the one and only lead Bulls writer for Bleacher Nation, Elias Schuster. We're going to talk with him about some of the latest updates, a little bit of an update on Ayo Dosunmu and the Bulls' plans on keeping him around, and more coming up next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls Podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. Over to Goat Seat, Big Dave, bow. BAWL Sports, the queen of the controls, the one and only Katie Duffy. What up, Katie?
Hi.
And joining us today, third guest in a row. What a fun week. Lead Bulls writer for Bleacher Nation, working hard always, and especially keeping Bulls fans up to date with what's going on in these nitty-gritty dog days of the offseason. Our guy, Elias Schuster, joining the program. What up, buddy?
What a warm welcome. Wow. That's so sweet.
Well deserved.
Thank you. I
like how
appreciate
touched
that.
you were. Yes.
I'm so touched. That's. I didn't know if I should clap. You guys are clapping. I'm like, well, if I clap, it's like that's weird. And I'm like, clapping
always
for myself.
clap for yourself
That's
when you
right.
make an appearance on someone's show.
That's something you should do every morning you wake up. Just clap for yourself.
That's,
like,
that's fair.
I'm
I
starting
like
the day.
that. I'm going to start doing that.
I like, it's just positive reinforcement for all of our various guests. We were chatting with Adam Amin earlier this offseason, and we were talking about how he doesn't have like a go-to, Mike Breen bang catchphrase yet.
Yeah.
And that we suggested that he just scream out his own name anytime something exciting happens.
Okay. That would
So
just yelling at him.
A buzzer beater, and he just goes, Adam Amin!
Okay.
Yeah.
You can just do that at the end of every article you write, like Elias Schuster.
Okay. I'm gonna start giving that a go, and we'll
Good.
see. Yeah, we'll see how well that goes over with my bosses.
Hey man, be your own boss. You run that Bulls section of that website.
Why is your
Sadly.
name at the end of this?
Yeah, it's at the top already. Why is it at the bottom as well?
That's a typo? Like, what is going on?
So when I reached out to you, I don't know, last week to be like, hey man, you were around to come on. I was like, I think he still lives up in Milwaukee, that
I did
terrible
live in Milwaukee.
Wisconsin border.
I know.
Living behind enemy lines. But you were like, actually, just moved back to Chicago recently. So welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Enjoying yourself being back.
Very much so. I'm happy to be here. I was up in Milwaukee for it was 5 years. My wife, that was where she was working. It was close enough to the city. It was easy enough to get here to do stuff. And for the most part, we're all remote over at Bleacher Nation. So that made it easy. But my lovely wife got a new job here in Chicago. We came back.
Shout out to
Kudos
that.
to
Now
that.
we're happy to be back here. It's easy to get over here now. It's go great. Took the brown line, hopped on the pink line, was here. That was
man, see?
So I'm back in the groove.
Gotta love that
Yeah.
CTA. Just watch out this weekend.
Right. No, don't worry. I already had
Because
to.
the children of
shoulder-
Lala
Yeah.
have arrived.
You know how many camelbacks I saw?
Oh, my God.
Jersey City.
Oh,
It's gonna
my
be
God,
out there.
Jersey
My
City.
goodness, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
That's
I introduced you to Katie just a little bit ago, and you're like, oh, we know each other because you're like, oh, you've been also covering Chicago Sky stuff. So
yeah, we've been doing more Sky stuff this year, which has been great. Slowly but surely, been trying to add more of that over the last few years. And this year we've done more credentialed work, which has been super fun. So yeah, we'll be at the games this weekend again. It's been fun to follow. I know that season hasn't turned out the way that
It's been rough.
people necessarily anticipated.
rough.
But
These are balling.
yeah, there's still a lot of good storylines to follow, and the young talent on that team is obviously still really promising. So
Yeah.
it's still been a fun team to follow.
Before we dive into the latest Bulls news of the day, and again, it's July 31st, there isn't much, but generally just how did you come into this offseason as somebody who covers this team, writes about this team every day, multiple times? Where's your sanity right now?
Oh, good question.
Are you in a
Sure.
peaceful Zen offseason state? I see you already wrote 2 things this morning. So like us, you're still working hard for the true Bulls sickos out there.
Right. Yeah.
But there's something a bit more peaceful about this time of year.
Yeah, I'm definitely I'm working for the sickos, and I appreciate all the sickos that in the middle of July are still post summer league.
They are
still,
why people like us have these jobs.
The fact, yeah, exactly. You are the reason that I have a job, and I very much appreciate that. And in terms of my sanity, though, oddly enough, I'm like pretty sane, but I think I'm sane for a sad reason, which is this is all the same. Like this is nothing all of us have not seen or been through yet. The team's in the same state as it's been the past handful of years. So it's maybe in the past years I would have been more frustrated or anxious, but it's almost like I've been beaten down enough.
yes.
Where I'm just like,
Acceptance.
you can't hurt me anymore.
Yeah, right.
Like I know what's coming.
Yep.
So that doesn't mean we still can't, sit there and hold them accountable or say what's wrong. But in terms of the sanity level, it's like, okay, I feel like I know what to expect, and what I expect is happening. But I guess for an optimistic standpoint, if I had to add some optimism, what I would add is just like there is at least a tiny bit better sense of direction compared to what we've seen in the past.
This is true.
The young talent, there is more of it. There clearly is some semblance of a plan when they throw out the 2026 thing, the financial flexibility. Like there is more to look toward to be like, okay, I could see a world where they build something meaningful here. Now, whether or not I trust them to build that is obviously the main question. But are they in a better position to build it? Yes. And that's why it's a little easier to be sane.
I like the fact that you said acceptance, because that's also the final stage of the 5 stages of grief.
Exactly.
So
and I've been grieving for years.
Yes.
So
The final stage
went on
being,
for a while.
I am in fact a dead horse. Keep on beating me. Why
exactly.
not?
Why not?
Yeah.
But you feel like I do,
Sure.
basically about the offseason also that they've had is they've made some logical moves where I can point to and say, hey, that makes sense. That's logical. Thank you for doing that. You know,
and I think I maybe tweeted it out or something the other day. Just a comment of like, I actually think that this offseason has been pretty acceptable, especially if this Josh Giddey contract comes in. And I've always said like, I don't think it's going to be 5 years at this point. I would be a little bit surprised if it does reach the full 5 years. But I was like 5 years, like 20 or just $25 million a year, and I'd be fine with that. And I know some people want less, but I'm like, that's fine with me. So let's say they do come in with a contract that's has an AAV of 25 mil. I'm feeling like this offseason as a whole was a win in Bulls terms. The Trey Jones signing I always liked. When they did get him in that Zach LaVine deal, he was the one player that I felt like I was like, he's the one I would love to stick around, and it's the most disappointing that he's the one that has the expiring contract, because I thought like Herter and Collins are the guys that are more just in there for money to make the money work. And Jones is kind of an actually interesting piece. And so them re-signing him, especially getting rid of Lonzo, which and we could also talk about that. I don't love that 1-for-1 swap. Nobody loves. I'm right there with you. I didn't love it, but but regardless, you get rid of him and you sub in Trey Jones. I'm happy with that. And then if you do end up getting Giddey for that number, I feel like you'll feel comfortable with it. And in terms, if the goal was just to keep financial flexibility and look toward that 2026, again, we'll see what they do with that. But I can live with what we saw this summer for that reason. I agree. I think the expectation going into it in general was like, nothing crazy is going to happen this summer. As opposed to maybe the past off seasons where it was like, there was this huge message of, we're trying to win and we still have Zach or we still have DeMar or whatever it is. The expectation was more like, okay, let's see what you can add then or whatever it is. There was less expectations this summer, so what they did was fine. Yeah,
it was less and more. Okay,
sure. Which let's be clear. I think we all recognize this. It's all none of this is to say like they're doing a great job, right? No, like some people can take it as that. It's like, no, this is still all disappointing.
Yes, correct. Dude, I've been trying to explain that to people. Like, dude,
right?
I can give them a compliment and say, yes, you did a good thing, and still feel like, oh my God, I don't know where this ship is going.
Exactly. Yes.
And Dave has credited them all along being patient about this Giddey thing. Because I think if you have, from the Bulls side of things, the leverage, the upper hand in these negotiations, because Giddey and his fellow restricted free agents, all of whom are still like the big ones, like Kuminga, unresolved, Cam Thomas, what's going on, Quentin Grimes, is like they're all in this boat, and the Bulls didn't just immediately be like, oh, you want this much money? We can give you that much money and still stay under the luxury tax. So here you go. It's like, no. Actually work that a little bit. And so we'll see. Somebody in the comment, Mark just said 4 years, 100. You said, maybe a longer term deal, but just try and keep it to 25 average annual value.
Yeah.
If you can get it for even less than that, great. But more people have started to talk about it. We were talking about it recently. Dave was early on the let's just do like a prove it year, right? The qualifying offer.
Sure.
I can't imagine Giddey and his representation thinking that that's the best way to go when you can still get more guaranteed even if it's on a more modest average annual salary. But what about this idea of like maybe a 2-year deal, maybe a 3-year deal that allows Giddey and the Bulls to go their separate ways if they want to, and allows him to hit the free agent market again while he's still like only 25 years old.
Right. I think I think their goal, if you're even the Bulls, I do think your goal should still be, let's get 4 years. I don't think the 5-year, like I said, is going to happen at this point. But I think 4-year, that should still be their goal, because you do want him locked in at a lower number. Right. If you're Giddey, though, I think his goal would probably be around 3-year at this point if he's not getting that $30 million number, which he's not going to get.
Right.
And so I think if they can do, I would be fine with 3, because at the end of the day, you're going to know by the end of that 3 if he's worth the bump in pay that he's that he thinks that he's worth at this point. But yeah, a shorter term deal would be fine. I think the qualifying offer thing, I don't know. You were saying that maybe you would be, or you would.
I said if they can't come to a decision,
sure, then
he should take the qualifying offer and bet on himself, because if he balls out and plays, and we see the Giddey that we saw in that last 15 games of the season, if he's that, then coming into next season, you can really put the screws to the Bulls. And other teams are definitely going to be after.
And there's a lot more money to spend next summer.
Exactly. So that's why I was like, well, it kind of makes sense if they can't come to this agreement. Obviously, he wants to come to the agreement. You want the security of years. You want the money. And both of those, the organization and Giddey want each other. They want to be here. And I feel like taking that qualifying offer is a brilliant bluff, because he doesn't want to go anywhere. But you do want to get that money.
Yeah,
I think you'll be able to get it then, because the Bulls, honestly, they love it. They wouldn't have any problem paying him that kind of money and want to give him that kind of money. But they are being smart about how they're going about it. So they want to see it be earned, and I don't think it's a problem with that.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be. I would be surprised if it happened. I do think it's definitely a big risk, and the only reason I feel like Giddey's camp at the end of the day would not go that route is because we saw like the year that he did have before he came to Chicago. And, I know the Bulls are not, the Bulls are clearly going to put him in a position to succeed. You can kind of maybe play some malicious games there where you're like, towards the end, if you want to keep that number low, the team's not good. You're like, all of a sudden he's not coming off the bench, but maybe he's off ball more, whatever it is.
This is from the doctor. You got to say it.
Yeah. But regardless, I think that it's a huge risk. I fully understand what you're saying, and I definitely, we can't write that off. I think there's a world where that can still happen, but I just think from only 2 years removed from a year where OKC basically gave up with him. They benched him. He's sitting in the playoffs, like all this stuff, and that if anything of that, if he takes any sort of step back, then the money he's not even going to get a deal that he would get this year, like the 25 million that he could potentially get right now. So it would definitely be a huge risk.
Definitely a risk.
But I would respect the move. You respect a move when a player does it. But I think it wasn't Bobby Marks who pointed out like maybe like a week ago or so ago, the players who have recently accepted the qualifying over the last like 5 years, and how few of them.
Basically zero of them. Almost zero of them got the big money they were looking for after the fact.
Yeah. So that is some evidence. If you're the Bulls, and they're coming at you saying we might take the qualifying offer, you're sliding that, you're printing out that tweet and putting it all over the boardroom, saying look at that, like saying let's remember what happened here. So
Nick P in the comments saying can't wait for the Bulls to max him out for 5 years after he crushes a prove it 1-year deal, only to see him revert from a contract year high. Meanwhile, our guy French Bulls fan saying for once this front office seems to be doing something the right way, so let's give him a little credit for it.
That's it.
Sure,
just a little.
Again,
they're playing hardball, which they should. And
they are
for once.
Here's some cheese on your sandwich.
Yes.
There you go.
Pour some liquid cheese on this very low bar that you're making for yourselves.
There you go.
We got to knock out a couple ads, so we will do that and then continue our conversation with Elias Schuster, who's here with us today. We'll talk about the latest little Ayo Dosunmu trade market update from KC Johnson that came out yesterday. Hit the like button like Katie told you to, asked you to nicely, if you're hanging out in the chat. Here's some ads.
Oh, nice.
Today's show brought to you by Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Sunnyside's your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. They've got everything you need, your one-stop shop, and an expertly curated menu featuring over 100 different strains to choose from. That's right, I said 100 different strains! Like a kid in a candy store. But it's cannabis. I love it.
21 and over.
They also offer easy online ordering and in-store pickup. They got locations here in the city, Wrigleyville and River North, plus throughout the Chicago suburbs, even down in Champaign. They got locations all over the great state of Illinois. So find them and check them out. Visit Sunnyside.shop for Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases when you use promo code HICHGO at checkout. Plus, for returning customers, use promo code CHGO50 and get 50% off one Cresco Lab Brands item. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright Buys every day, only for 21 and older and Illinois MedCard holders.
Making money moves should be just like Elias Schuster here. Should be very simple and very smooth. Just like Cash App, ladies and gentlemen. That's why it exists. No extra hoops to jump through, no extra stress, no woozies, and for the love of the vacation quaff, no wazies at all. And for a limited time only, new Cash App users can use this exclusive code to get yourself some additional cash. Seriously, there is no catch at all. Just download the Cash App, click, and sign up. Use that exclusive code, CHGO Bulls, in your profile. Send $5 to a friend, and within 14 days, you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. And the sound of that is a kerplunk. And a kerplunk again, because we like you. Terms apply.
Terms apply.
I said terms apply.
Terms apply.
That's money, ladies and gentlemen. That is Cash App.
I like how we're phasing out ka-ching as the sound effect when you're thinking about money hitting your bank account or making money. No, it's kerplunk.
Yes, kerplunk. That's the sound you want to hear. You want to kerplunk. You look at
Katie,
your phone,
do we have
you have money.
a kerplunk on your soundboard?
No, our soundboard is so basic right now.
So basic.
How about I could give you a triangle. Do you want that?
Soundboard.
A triangle?
Okay.
Is that a good money
that.
sound?
Yeah.
That's something.
Elias says that's acceptable.
That's something.
Yeah.
It's a sound.
Oh, this one says Glockenspiel. Do you
Oh,
want
I love a glockenspiel.
Okay.
Hit me. Ooh, that is satisfying. That sounds like making money a little bit, but not like a kerplunk.
Not like a triangle or a kerplunk.
No.
Yeah.
A kerplunk sounds like you just made a lot of money.
Right. Yeah, because it just dropped like a kerplunk.
Right.
And over.
We roll along here, CHGO Bulls on Thursday afternoon. Our guy Elias Schuster of Bleacher Nation Bulls hanging out with us. Hit the like button if you're hanging out in the chat. Make sure you're also subscribed. Before we move to the Ayo news, just because we were talking about Giddey and the whole contract thing on the other side of the break, I am curious, Eli, just how you feel as somebody who covers this team, watches this team every year, every day, compared to how you felt when the Giddey for Caruso trade happened, and then watching the full season of Giddey this past season, coming into these contract negotiations. How, if at all, has your feeling changed about the Bulls making that move to bring in Giddey and call him and plan on him being a foundational piece?
Sure. It's a good question. I think two things can be true. And I've always thought this about the Giddey deal. And I think at the time, in short, I feel like my main thought on the trade has not changed, which is at the time, even in hindsight, looking back, that was not a good trade. And I stand by that. It was,
Great trade for the Thunder.
Great. Well, sure. If we're talking
Alex
about
Caruso.
it, yes.
Worked out great for all of them.
If we're talking about it from an OKC perspective, great trade then, great trade now.
Yep.
But I think if you're the Bulls, it's all about market value and context matters. And I think for them at that time, Caruso was significantly, however you want to define significantly, but I think significantly more valuable than Caruso was significantly more valuable than Giddey was at the time. And especially look at the seasons they were coming off. I mean, Caruso's coming off 2 straight all defensive team performances. Giddey's coming off getting benched in the playoffs and being asked by OKC, and that's a big part of this too. It came out. OKC was basically saying, "Can you be our 6th man next year? Can you come off the bench next year?" And Giddey also wanted to be traded, basically.
Right.
That was the whole thing as well that was being reported. That was like Giddey was like, "Well, I don't, so then you need to let me go."
Right.
So if we're factoring all this stuff about leverage and who's more valuable and everything, the fact that it was this 1-for-1 swap it doesn't make sense. And it didn't make sense around the league at the time. You remember all these other reports about the people around the league being like, "That's surprising to me."
Right.
And
everybody was waiting for the follow-up tweet with the draft picks included.
Compensation.
Right,
And another context piece to add to it is the amount of picks that they just own. And I know that's brought up all the time, but it's true. It's like, and that also matters, is if you're talking to the team that has the most picks in the league, then you can't even tell me you can't get a second.
Nah.
So that's one part of it that I don't think. Yeah, that's one part of it that I don't think has changed.
Yeah.
But at the time, still, I was like, Giddey, I like as a player, I like the idea of adding a player like that. I think if you're the Bulls and you're, especially for multiple years, everyone's saying like they need to be rebuilding, they need to be trying to get younger. He's exactly the type of flyer they should have been taking.
Yeah.
So that's why I think two things can be true. It's like, did you do a good job with the trade? No. But was Giddey the right type of player to add and a good piece to add? Yes. And I think he did at least go on to show that throughout the year. It obviously started a little bit rough, but for the most part, what everyone thought would happen when you put the ball back into his hands did happen. Now, do I think he's a hard player to judge in terms of what is his winning impact going to be long term? Just because there are still deficiencies to the game. Yes, he's only 22 years old. Yes, he can get a lot better. And we saw like the 3-point shot improve a decent amount last year. Now that has to be like a multi-year improvement.
Sure.
We have to see that as over a larger sample size. And obviously the defensive deficiencies are a concern. So there's still definitely, he's not a perfect player by any means, and I'm still curious to see like what does he look like in a real like winning team. What is his role? Is he fourth in line? Like what is he third in line? But with that said, I still think like he's the right piece to invest in and try to keep, especially if you get him on a 25 or lower a year type of deal. So yeah, good. I think a good piece to add to a rebuild or retooling or whatever they want to call it. Most people around the league, I think, would agree that he's a valuable asset to have, and so I'm fine with him as a player, and I'm fine with reinvesting in him. But I will not change how I feel about the actual trade.
That's it.
I think that's fair. That's like fair and logical.
Does his age, is that the one main thing that gives you more hope about Giddey's future than everything? Because the deficiencies we've seen from him, like you said, in that second half of the season, we saw him improve on that.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's 22 years old and improving on these things that we were like, we're going to have to see some stuff first. Is that what gives you the most hope that he can be a foundational piece for this team?
I think it's honestly even less of, I think it's a part of it for sure. Obviously, when you're only 22 years old, there's a lot of room to grow. But I think honestly more of it for me was that second half of last season. Now, I'm not going to be the person that sits there and says 15-5 like the front office and like look at the wins. But when you specifically do look at how Giddey played, like he was a different player. And something that he was always criticized for was like the lack of physicality and the amount of like the floaters that he settled for. He wouldn't get all the way to the rim, and his finishing was subpar. And actually his finishing didn't necessarily improve significantly during that second half, but his willingness to like take contact, to attack off the dribble, to get to the free throw line. I'm pretty sure he nearly like doubled his free throw attempts from the beginning of the year over that post All-Star break. Those shot up. So we saw a different mentality from him. So I think what I'm more encouraged by is just the shift in his play style, because it was like he's a 6'8" point guard. So you were always like, where is this willingness to play through contact and to get downhill? And maybe you're not a great shooter and you're not going to be hitting many shots off the bounce, but like most guards who are defending you can bully your way through, or you're stronger than. True. And you can maybe back down a little bit in the post. So like seeing him do more of that is what really encouraged me. And of course, yes, the 3-point shooting jumping up a little bit. He shot the same. I think like the volume didn't necessarily change, but he was shooting like 38%.
38%.
Yeah, which was like, that's
43 for him.
Yeah, but that is a major difference, and he was hitting more of those catch and shoot shots. That was the thing too. I think I wrote about this maybe a handful of days ago or whatever it was, but it was all catch and shoot looks. It was barely anything off the dribble.
Right.
I don't really expect him to really ever add much off the dribble, just because his shot release is so slow and he's a little bit clunkier at times. Sure. But if he's hitting catch and shoot looks, then it's like that's also a huge for him. Yeah. And so I think it was less about like an age, and because at the end of the day, like Patrick Williams is super young. Yeah. But you don't see.
That's why I asked the question.
Right. Yeah. But so you can say like, oh well, I'm still really encouraged by the age, but it's also like, but I'm not really seeing anything on the court. So for me, it was like, all right, we now had half a season, which people call, but it was post All-Star break basically, of Giddey, showing legitimate progress. I think. Yes. We'll see if that continues in October, but that's what made me the most optimistic.
It is interesting that we're talking about Giddey, the long-term commitment, still, as of right now, unsigned. We all think it'll happen, just a matter of when. They still got some time to figure it out. You talked about earlier the fact that you liked the Trey Jones re-signing. I think most Bulls fans are like, all right, that was a team-friendly deal. Guy who came in via trade,
very team-friendly.
Proved for a handful of games that he could play. Yes, they traded Lonzo, but Coby White, still here, entering the final year of his 3-year deal. Ayo Dosunmu, still here. entering the final year of his 3-year deal. And both of them have been, among various offseason trade rumors, trade reports, trade speculation. And within the last week or so, we've gotten a couple of different reports saying they love Coby White. They're keeping Coby White. Like AK even said it in an interview, out in Summer League. It's like, we love Coby and Josh. We want them both to be Bulls for a long time. And now yesterday, KC Johnson, CHSN, on one of his little fast break videos, when the chatter around Ayo Dosunmu was starting to rise, multiple interested teams. If they're keeping Coby, they obviously are about to sign Josh Giddey. They signed Trey Jones. Like, where is the space for Ayo? They like Ayo, they're keeping Ayo. This is what KC Johnson said in case you missed it. Quote, the chatter has largely died for the most part regarding that trade speculation. I do expect Ayo Dosunmu to be back in a Bulls uniform for the next season. He went on to mention specifically a Western Conference playoff team engaged in substantive talks with the Bulls earlier this offseason regarding Ayo Dosunmu, but the two teams could not find common ground on a trade package. So the Ayo trade talk was real. I think KC reported earlier this offseason that he was hearing more trade talk with Ayo's name attached to it than Coby's. But so, Eli, like, what do you make of this? Is like the Bulls are like, we're keeping everybody, we love everybody.
Right, which is typical. That's what they do. They always they get high on their own supply. Right. Yes, and so
shout out Sunnyside.
Yes, that's a good call. I think with the first thing I'll say on it is that like they have to make a decision. Because the Coby and Ayo thing, especially if you're re-signing Josh Giddey, which, again, we continue to assume that he will be back on a multi-year deal. If he's back and you just signed Trey Jones to a 3-year deal, I'm not necessarily saying that should impact how you work with Coby and Ayo, because, you can move on from him probably pretty easily. It's a fair contract. But regardless, you can't have these 4 guards, right? Especially Coby and Ayo are both going to make real money.
Right.
And Coby is going to have to get more than Giddey. Yes. And by quite a bit. Yes. And that's something that maybe is not really talked about enough as we think about this stuff, is like that if you do commit to Coby, then you have a Coby and Giddey backcourt, and that's it. That's your future right there.
Right. Yeah.
And is that for sure a no right now? Not necessarily. You should see another season of it. Coby continues to progress every year, like we talk about. Giddey can still take strides, but at the end of the day, it's like you need to be positive that you can build a playoff caliber competitive team with those two in your backcourt, and you don't know if you can. And so with both, and Ayo, again, he's going to make real money as well. Yeah. And so you need to make a decision of which one of those two you're going to keep. And that's why these Ayo rumors, whether it was Coby or Ayo, that's why the rumors always made sense to me. I was like, and also for a while there, I was thinking like, okay, they will move one of them.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, this looks like they will. And I didn't really, it's not that I didn't care which one it was, but I was like, just the fact that they were even considering moving one of them, it's like, all right, they're doing the right thing. Right. But then keeping them, if this, I would assume that we get rumors start up again, come like December time about one of them moving around the trade deadline. Mm-hmm. But also it would be very Bulls, and I think we all know this, to get to the trade deadline. You're in the play-in hunt. They're like, we're not going to move either of them. We're playing well. And then all of a sudden the postseason comes, and guess one of them's going to walk.
Right.
Because you can't sign both of them. And also if you're Ayo, like my guess is, of course, they would probably try to re-sign Coby. Mm-hmm. And then they re-sign Coby. But if you're Ayo, even though you love Chicago, you're a hometown guy, you're sitting there and you're like, all right, well, I'm not going to get the money I want here necessarily.
Probably not going to get the role I want here.
But that's the bigger thing. I'm not going to get the role that I need. And Ayo's another guy who has shown growth every single year, averaged career highs across the board last year. Mm-hmm. He played career high in minutes last year, per game. He obviously got hurt. But he's a borderline, and we know this, he's a borderline starter. Yeah. And now I think probably
one of the few two-way players on this roster right now.
And I think in the right environment, he's still a role guy coming off the bench, but somebody would pay him. Yeah. And so you just need to do the right business move and get something, because those are also your two best assets on the roster. Other than Matas, but those are your two best assets is Coby and Ayo. So you need to move one of those guys and get something in return, or else you're going to end up in a situation where one of them is likely gone for nothing.
All right. On that note, let's knock out a couple more ads, and then we will come back right up and pick back up this conversation. Hit the like button. Katie, tell them to hit the like.
Hit the like button. I've been literally yelling at you in the chat for like 20 minutes now.
Come on now.
Told you it wasn't nice, man.
We'll be right back with our guy, Elias Schuster. Today's show brought to you by Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. New vehicles are in store at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, and this is your chance to score a great deal at Employee Pricing Plus Sales Event. Right now, you can lease 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab for only $399 a month for 27 months. Plus, shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. The expert team at Ray CDJR is here to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. They prioritize affordability, so you know you won't overpay for the vehicle you need. And with that raised price promise, you can shop confidently knowing that you will never be subjected to any secret hidden fees, any this, any that, any service fee. No hidden nothing. The price you see is the price you pay. Don't miss out on the Employee Pricing Plus Sales Event for huge savings on that Ram 1500. For more information, visit Ray CDJR today on Route 12 in Fox Lake or at raycdjr.com.
Certain rules in life, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button or Katie will come after you. That's a rule. Read every single thing our guy Elias is writing out there for Bleacher Nation.
Oh, wow.
Do that. And, of course, don't get biffed, ladies and gentlemen. Do not go to the big box store and run into the 16-year-old who doesn't know anything about floors and wants to talk to you. Hey, what do you want? Hey, can you help me with floors? I don't know what you're talking about. You want a hot dog? Stay at home. Get the shop at home convenience you can only get from Empire Today. Those are flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals whose focus is on flooring every single day. Clear upfront pricing is what you'll get, and it's all-inclusive. Plus, you can schedule an installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners, you can receive a $350 discount when using that promo code CHGO. You heard me right, $350 discount. Use the code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/CHGO for full details. 588-2300. Peck!
Empire
Today.
Wow.
Did Biff offer a hot dog to the person he was trying to help with the flooring?
Y'all never been to the big box where they got the hot dogs in the front? Where they sell the hot dogs
like the hot dog cart in
in
the hardware store. Yeah, totally.
It's right there.
All right, I'm with you.
Thank you.
I just liked that was a part of his
It's all he knows.
his scrambling.
Yeah, he's 16.
I don't know nothing about flooring, but would you like a hot dog?
Hot dogs, 16. What else he knows?
You a hot dog guy, Eli?
I like a good hot dog.
Chicago style?
I'm wearing a super dog hat right now.
Oh my gosh!
He is wearing a super dog hat right now.
I'm a super dog guy. Also, but to be fair, at super dog, I'm a big Whooper cheesy guy. I'm not a big hot. I like their burgers more than their hot dogs, which could be a hot take. But yeah, I love a good hot dog.
Very nice. Ketchup on a hot dog?
No.
Okay.
See,
I put ketchup
this is a true Chicago in here.
You go the ketchup on a hot dog?
Yeah, but he puts it on
I would put mustard,
he puts it on an impossible dog.
Yeah,
made out of not
ketchup, relish, barbecue sauce. I would put in it. I grew up poor, Elias. We ain't care about condiments, bro. We got it. It's going on the dog. I ain't got time for all that.
I mean, hey, I respect if you're going anything, then I respect it.
Yeah, hey, it's that.
Yeah,
I love ketchup though.
That's true. Dave is a big ketchup guy.
Sometimes with ketchup, like I'm not putting it on my hot dog, but I'm supportive of ketchup in general.
He is not.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with the ketchup with your fries. Is totally fine.
Oh no, Matt don't want to see it at all. He'd be like, "What are we, children in here?"
Children are allowed.
Yes,
children are allowed.
No, I'm saying that's what you're saying to adults,
right?
You won't.
Oh,
that's what he'll call the adults
over
children.
the age of, I'd say 10, and you are a Chicagoan.
So mustard is an adult condiment.
Yeah,
that's what he's telling you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Katie's got thoughts.
I was just gonna say we discovered a few weeks ago that Matt also does not like grape jelly. Like that is a big problem.
It's
for
the
him.
ketchup of jellies.
So you're saying so again that's a kid jelly?
Yes.
A strawberry jelly
What
is
kind of
an adult
self-respecting
jelly?
adult is using grape jelly for anything?
Apparently, when you turn 18, in Matt's mind, you're not allowed to eat anything that you've eaten in years 0 through 18.
That's not true.
It all goes out the window.
I still love a good occasional
You're
box
eating
of Kraft
like
mac and cheese because it's delicious.
Once you turn 18, it's like raw meat, or it's like rare steak.
That's fair. He is
and
a
red
steak
wine.
guy.
And a red wine.
Oh, of course.
You just said his whole diet. Well done. This is it.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that checks out. Then that makes sense.
I had a salad yesterday. It sucked.
And no, Andrew, I didn't diss Home Depot hot dog stands. What do
No.
you mean? Not at all.
No.
I didn't do that at all.
They're great. That's why Biff was offering them.
Yeah, exactly. No dissing.
You just wish he knew more about hardware.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Know about floors. I want him to know about his floors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Empire Today. Shopping home convenience.
Shout out Empire. All right, so back on track. The Ayo thing, it's interesting because like I'm with you, Eli. It's like there's no universe that I can see where you're keeping both Coby and Ayo a year from now.
Right. And if you want to keep, and just to add to it, I think if you went with Ayo, that's fine.
Right.
Like
some people in the chat, some Bulls fans think that they should keep Ayo over Coby.
Yeah.
And I can see the reasons why people feel that way.
Right. And this comes down to, like, I understand why the Bulls like both players.
Right.
Like, I like both players. I see a world where both players are, making an impact on a winning team. And we've seen growth from both of them. But they put themselves in this situation, even though they were great team-friendly deals when they signed him a few years ago. And the ideal situation is that both of them obviously outplay those deals, which they did. But then you find yourself in the situation that you're in right now. And so that's why you have to make the hard decision. I mean, if you go and you re-sign both of them, which, again, I mean, technically that is a possibility. They could do that. But again, where does that leave you? Like, we're talking about, you have to develop as a team. You have to win games. You can't just keep running back the same thing as we see them continue to do. And so that's why these hard decisions have to be made. And it's like, we understand that if Ayo goes to another team or if Coby goes to another team, they're probably going to do well. Like, they will probably succeed in that situation. But you have to take that risk, because they're probably not going to succeed in the way that you want them to if they continue to be on this roster with Josh Giddey and a similar looking team.
All this is facts right here. Let me move on to somebody who will be here for the next few years, who we think will be pretty good, and that's Matas Buzelis. How big of a year do you think this is for a guy like Matas? He's shown so much promise in his rookie year. His face has been everywhere, you know what I'm saying, all over commercials. Yeah. Like, even the league had him at the NBA Finals, covering that. We saw him in Summer League, you know what I mean? Like, he's something people are showing up for to see. One of the faces of Reebok now with Shaq. Like, he's had a bunch of wonderful things happen, and because of his play on the floor, it's happened for him that way also off the floor, which also raises expectations for him. So how big of a second year do you think this is for a guy like Matas Buzelis?
Yeah, I think it's a big year, and I also think that there can't be too many expectations placed on it, just because we talk about youth earlier with Giddey. Sure. I mean, this is a guy that's I think, is he even 21 yet? He's not 21 yet, I don't even think.
No, I think he turns 21 in like a month or so.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well, like closer to when the season starts. But
okay.
He turns 21 in October.
Right, okay. So
still can't even buy a beer. Poor guy.
Yes, exactly. No, but he, and he probably, but at least he probably doesn't have ketchup. He's too old.
He's a smart man.
No, I think it is a big year, yes. I think they've done I think he's checked all the boxes that you want to see him check so far. The everything we saw last year from him was very encouraging. He looked incredibly comfortable on both ends of the floor. I think that I actually thought, and I still stand by it, even though I know after the fact Billy Donovan got a lot of praise for the way they handled his minutes. Yeah. I still do think he should have played more earlier on, and a big reason for that is because I actually think he was positively impacting the game when he was in it from a defensive standpoint, even though the offensive game was not there. It was like he was a difference maker defensively. Sure, he would have some mess ups, and also the team just wasn't good enough. Like, he should be having the experience. I still think he should have played more early on.
If he gave him good minutes in the first half and then disappeared in the second, that's when I was like, Billy, what the hell?
Yeah.
Right. And so I think I was just so encouraged by everything I saw, so much so that I'm like, he should have been playing earlier on, because he was actually playing that well and deserved it. But in terms of, the expectations for this upcoming season, I think they should be relatively high. I think if he struggles in some areas, that should be okay. I mean, we saw in that first Summer League game when they really put the ball in his hands, like, that wasn't pretty. And he obviously looked a lot better the game going on, but there's going to be nights like that this year where they're going to try to lift him up more offensively. We're going to see him run a lot more action. I think we'll see him have moments, especially with the second unit, where he's probably, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they start the year where he's staggering into that second unit and he's trying to lead a little bit more offense. And it's not going to look pretty at times, but I don't think that's, the expectation shouldn't be so high that that's criticized. It's like, no, he's still going through the motions and learning a lot. But his ceiling is so high, I think. And I was really high on the draft pick from the beginning. Like, I'm not saying that he can be your number one, like, superstar. I don't necessarily think that's where it is, but I'm like, he has the makings of being like a really good number two. That's like his peak to me, and a legitimate piece to build around. So, will my expectations be high? Yes, but that's not going to say, like, if he has a slump, for an extended period of time, or like a few weeks or so, that I'm going to freak out about it, because he is still such a young player.
Let me stay with that for a second.
Yeah.
With him being a number 2, because Bulls fans have exceeding expectations of this being the face of the team, this being that guy. Why is that you only see that plateau for him, like being a number 2 guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I guess it's not to say that he can't be that number 1. I just think it's so early.
Right.
I think it's just so early to put number 1 on anyone that's not like you're not drafting number 1 overall, or like or like in the top 3. It's just like, and I also think the way that his game is like he would have to, I would say, elevate so much as like an off the dribble scorer and like someone who can facilitate and like play make on his own. I think that's something that is in his game, but on a secondary level. I don't know if that's something that's in his game on like a number 1 level where like you're trusting him with the ball in his hands, like in crunch time every time. Yeah. It's like, I think he's a great guy to have out there during those moments, but like, you know, I'm not comparing him to Jalen Williams, right, on OKC. But when you're out there, you're just like, who do you want the ball? Like, if Jalen Williams was let's say Shea wasn't there, and the ball's in Jalen Williams' hands at the end of those games, like, you're not feeling fantastic. You're not feeling like this is the guy that should be doing it. Does that make sense? Like,
I know a really good player, just not that closing guy that you will feel comfortable.
Yeah, and again, but maybe he does become that. I don't know. I just think at this point, I'm not ready to say that that's where he'll be. It's like I'll put the ceiling at number 2, which is still really high. Yeah.
And I think that's fair because like we've seen glimpses from his rookie year, but only glimpses. Like I saw earlier today, you had a write up about Matas making some list of like the top 50 handles plays of like the past season.
That was crazy.
And you know, it was like the crossover on Luka. He also had the one where he shook Aaron Gordon going down the lane. So like we've seen like, Matas put the ball on the floor and Matas cooked.
Right.
Billy Donovan III was talking about it when we were out in Vegas for Summer League, like putting the ball in Matas' hands more, letting him bring the ball up the floor and be a primary on-ball creator. It's like I think the Bulls want Matas to grow that part of his game.
Yes.
But he's got to grow that part of his game. It doesn't
exactly
because it didn't exist really, and especially like steadily when he arrived in the league. That's why I think it's fair to be skeptical of just how good of a player can this guy be. Can he be the number 1 on your team?
Right.
If you don't see that part of his game fully
also
realized.
He is so good. There is so much about him, especially if he does continue to improve as a shooter and show growth, from behind the arc. There is so much that's great about him off the ball, and like how of course how many like number 1s are strictly off are off-ball guys, I guess is the way to put it. But like he is so great as a lob threat and someone in the open floor and all this stuff. So I just think there's things when I envision it, and it can be a little bit hard to put into words, but it's like when you're picturing like his best situation and on a winning team and it's competitive in the playoffs and all this stuff, it's like you're picturing him like skying for a lob, for an alley-oop dunk in transition, and maybe he has one of those moments where like he crosses up Luka and goes to the basket. But it's like, are you picturing him in crunch time being the one who's driving your offense? I don't know yet, and
I hear that.
That's all.
That's fair.
It is.
All right. Next thing we wanted to do, because they are, in fact, the dog days and trade machines are fun. You had some trade machine fun for Bleacher Nation like a week or so ago, and we wanted to talk about a couple of them. And yes, even though we were talking earlier in today's show about how the latest word is that, hey, the Bulls love Ayo, they're keeping an eye out because of course they are.
Right.
Doesn't mean we can't have trade machine fun. So let's talk about a couple of them that I really liked that you proposed off of BleacherNation.com.
Right, because I don't remember them on the top of my head.
We got
good.
it.
I just want to make sure.
He's like, go.
We did our homework. So, Katie, let's take a look at the Celtics one first. So this is a 2-team trade that you came up with where the Bulls get Anthony Simons, who's generating a lot of trade talk recently, and Sam Hauser, solid player. The Celtics get Vooch, Ayo, and a future second. This trade theoretically would solve the Bulls' Vooch problem and their do you keep Coby or do you keep Ayo problem, which we were just talking about. It's a trade that, like, you can see why both teams would do it, which is so rare when people are making up their own trades.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to see these and see how much I hate them now. Like you said, dog days of summer. You're just like
this idea a week ago. Yeah, now it's trash.
Well, yeah, like you said, it's dog days of summer, and you're just like, all right, time to just do some trades, I guess.
Yeah. Bust out the old trade machine.
Yeah. So with that trade,
Goat's jealous that he's not here right now. Goat loves the trade machine.
Oh man.
Him and I don't know if you guys know this, but him and I are in a 30-person fantasy basketball league.
Oh, man.
That's a lot of people.
Yes, and there are. Let me tell you the amount of trades going back and forth. But Anyway, with that trade, I remember a lot of that's going to, of course, depend on how competitive do the Celtics want to be this year?
Right. Yeah.
Because I actually think that Vucevic makes a lot of sense for them. I still think the two teams where he makes the most sense are Boston and Golden State. And so
Boston losing Kristaps, it's not official yet, but losing Horford.
Right. And I just think he's a stretch big that can do a little bit of what Porzingis did for you. Obviously, the defensive side of the ball is going to be a problem. It is. But if they need a veteran who can scoop up rebounds and shoot the ball, I think he makes a lot of sense on that team. And they also can still get off some money. Yeah. And Hauser was a big talking point earlier this year about he'd probably be on the move, he could be another piece on the move for them to save money. Mm-hmm. And so he's someone I think the Bulls would be fine taking on because he is a shooter. He can make sense in the type of offense that they want to play.
Definitely.
And Ayo's a good piece for, I think, Ayo you can just kind of picture as a Celtic, I think.
Oh, totally.
He's a Drew Holiday replacement, a poor man's Drew Holiday replacement for them.
Truly, yeah.
And so, yeah, that trade depends a lot on how competitive do they want to be and how desperate are they to still get off money. I think the Sam Hauser thing's tough where they probably want more for him.
Right, yeah.
Because he has been such a great shooter and they can maybe get a competitive team to actually give up.
It's a solid piece and you're only getting a 1-year loaner on Vooch and Ayo.
Right. And the Anthony Simons thing, which of course we should bring up, that's the Bulls taking a flyer on somebody who, again, is an expiring contract and they will probably it would probably be done if they also move Coby, maybe,
right.
Or they at least gives them an option to be all right, now I have these two guys. Maybe him and Coby don't make a lot of sense together, but you could at least say at the end of the year, we'll keep one, maybe the cheaper one. Yeah. I don't know, but you could at least.
But it gives you that flexibility. You know what I mean?
Right.
For Boston. Right. So I hate that I like this because I don't want to give up Ayo Dosunmu at all. I'm on record saying that. But damn, that's a good deal. You see, of course, Anthony Simons. I've always been a big Anthony Simons guy, especially when it comes down to money time. He's one of the best in the league. You know what I'm saying? At converting during that time. But you're right with Sam Hauser, man. I just see a better Kevin Huerter. When I see him and look at him, shooting that 40, 41, 42% from three, making life so much easier. I can't tell you, and you guys are watching the games, about how many wide open threes we saw Kevin Huerter just not hit. But then he'll have a game where he couldn't miss, Right. You'll get more consistency from a guy like Sam Hauser.
And like I said, I do think with a deal like that one could, and I probably even wrote it in there, I was I think the Celtics would probably ask for more. That's because of Hauser and I don't know how much they value Simons really, but you could technically ask for more for Simons.
He has been essentially a 20 points per game scorer for the last 3 seasons now.
Right. So I do think, and I think the fit would be weird and everything, with him and Coby, but whatever.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah, it would just.
That would be a little.
You're sitting there and you're it's kind of one that the more, and I had it in the machine and I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm I don't know. The more you think about it, kind of makes sense for what both teams are trying to do, and if you're the Bulls, just continuing to try to add some young talent and
we love Coby White. Let's get another Coby White.
Coby White, he might leave. So
we need a Coby White backup plan for our Coby White plan. The other trade I wanted to talk about that you proposed is a 3-team trade between the Bulls, Nets, and Hornets, and this one is juicy. And when you talk about
remember this,
when you talk about solving Bulls problems, Katie. Did you have something to say?
This was sick. I'm sorry.
This one's
was
sick?
Full,
I had to go
sick.
Like I said, I write for the sickos.
Good sick?
No,
or
this
ill
is
sick?
Sicko mode
I go for the sickos. Everything got the green light in the trade.
It all said it worked.
It all works.
Also, my fantasy basketball league had no objections.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so this is Bulls, Nets, and Hornets. In this trade that you proposed, the Bulls get Nick Claxton.
Oh, I like this one. Right.
Love that. Grant Williams. Don't love taking on that player and or that money. Future first-round pick via the Hornets that's top 14 protected.
Okay.
Love that.
Okay.
The Nets. Welcome Patrick Williams to Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. Josh Green, Portland's future first via the Bulls, which the Bulls are currently in control of and waiting to convert. 2 future seconds via Charlotte. The Hornets get Vooch.
Okay.
Much like the question about the Celtics and how much they're going to try and be a competitive team in this Tatumless season, I think this also hinges on what are the Hornets going to try to be? Are the Hornets going to try and compete this year with this squad? Because if so, Vooch is a very usable veteran center for a younger team.
Right. And I think that's the Hornets are kind of obviously taking a problem off your hands, and I mean, Vooch wouldn't want to go there, but it's also the same type of thing where like if you're just trying to take a step with young guys, kind of like the Trailblazers have been doing, like all right, let's add a big man. I mean, they got rid of Mark Williams and stuff. We'll add a veteran big man to help some of these young guys. The pick in that, I think because the Bulls getting a pick, I remember writing that's like a little hard to believe, but I also think it's lottery. I think it was like lottery protected.
Lottery protected, top 14.
And the reason they're getting that lottery protected is because like they're taking the Grant Williams money,
right?
And they also get, and then Charlotte, I think I said like they get off another contract or whatever it is. But and if you're the Nets, you're getting off that Claxton deal. You have so many of these young guys. I don't know how badly they want to get off of Claxton, but it was more of like I think Claxton makes a lot of sense for Chicago. He can run in the open floor. He's a much better shot blocker. He's a rim protector. It's a definitely change in identity from what their big men have been in the past. Even their current guys like a Zach Collins can stretch the floor. I mean, Jalen Williams and Zach Collins can both stretch the floor. Right. Claxton obviously can't, but I think he makes a lot of sense with like a guy like Giddey and a better role man. Yeah,
Claxton makes a lot of sense in what the Bulls are trying to build, like stylistically with their roster right now, and style of play.
And this assumes too that if you're the Nets and you're just like stocking up on these young guys and you're like the Patrick Williams thing, that's why you throw picks in there, because you have this, you're still giving them Patrick Williams, which is not ideal, but this is under the assumption of like, all right, we'll take Patrick Williams and a couple of a few second rounders off your hands. The money's not great, but like we're young, we're rebuilding anyway. Yeah, we're taking a chance.
We'll take a swing at fixing Patrick Williams.
Yes, we see those deals all the time where guys
could be possible.
Yeah, where guys will take chances.
The only people that have tried to fix Patrick Williams and whatever's ailing him is the Bulls, and they suck at most everything. Right. So,
Right. So
there might be a player in there. Yeah. Who knows?
Exactly. So there's a lot of assuming going on in that one about what teams want to do. Yeah. And it's also like on paper, you look at that trade and it's like there's no big, huge name in it. It's nothing that like makes you feel great about anything.
No. But it's just like doing some clerical work of some problems that need to be solved around here.
Exactly.
Truly.
There's a pile of stuff over here.
Right,
guys.
exactly.
Let's get that moving.
We've been meaning to clean out the storage closet for years.
Right.
Charlotte, Brooklyn, can you help us out?
Yeah, and I see in the comments there too. It says like Claxton's deal's not great, so the Bulls are also taking a chance on that Claxton deal. But it's almost them saying like, all right, he's still young, and at least we're like kind of exchanging one really bad contract for Patrick Williams and handing over a few picks to take the Nets not great contract, but we think in our situation he makes more sense.
Yeah, Nick P in the chat saying sending Vooch to Charlotte after his postseason press conference about wanting to win is ice cold. Love it though.
It's a business. It's a business.
Come on.
I did have that thought when I was reading like all those years in Orlando. Where he makes his way up to being an all-star player, but that team never goes anywhere. They're a first-round exit team one time. And then he comes to the Bulls, and for like 3 months, it's like, oh, look at this. And he's been treading water with the Bulls, and he's the last guy standing.
And then he ends up with LaMelo.
Oh, my God. Like, it would be so, like, I would feel bad for Vooch.
I don't have a feeling that Vooch and LaMelo would not get along.
No, probably not.
That's a safe bet.
Yeah, I don't know.
But him and Con can nipple, though.
Yeah,
I think
work.
That could work. That could work really nice.
That could work.
And I do like Nick Claxton though on the Bulls, and it might answer some questions or raise more questions about that backup center position going forward. So that could be fun. That's fun for me. Like just watching that kind of chaos.
I just think I think Claxton with the type of play we've seen them implement last season, I think Claxton is a player that makes a lot of sense for what they need, which obviously is the rim protection, and also but someone who can still run the floor, a better role, someone who could be a strong screen setter and roll man for Giddey. Like he's a type of big man that I think they should be going after. I understand that they want bigs who can shoot, but like that could be your backup big man, like that, like the guy they actually need out there, especially if they're going to continue to build around like Giddey and Coby or something like that. Your perimeter defense is not going to be good, and so if you had like a Claxton next to like a Matas or something like that, your at least your front court defense is looking a lot better.
Front court defense is better, and your transition is much more fun.
Right, like again, it would be a move that makes sense. Of okay, these are the pieces that we're trying to build with and around. What are their weaknesses? What kind of players do we need to complement them in the ways that they are strong and cover up the ways in which they are weak?
Right.
Which I think AK has not been good at so far.
Not at all. And I do agree with Matt, though. I don't want no parts of Grant Williams. Chestable champion, Grant Williams. Shout out to him for that.
I think Grant Williams. I think he's an expiring deal this year. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, there might be one.
He's got
one
left.
more. That's why the Bulls are getting the pick. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the pick makes it. That's the salve that's on that right there. Okay. All right.
Yeah, Grant Williams. Like, there's been some stuff over the last couple of years of teammates being like, he's not my favorite person in the world. So he's got 2 years left.
Right. So that's why you get the pick.
He's got $13.5 million this upcoming season, and then
now this is why the deal won't happen, because at the end of the day, it's like all this would be in effect, and they'd be like, "Hey, Grant Williams, we'll give you a pick," and then and that's why it's only lottery protected, because they're taking Patrick Williams.
Right.
So that's why I made it that way. But they would probably come to the Bulls and say like, "Hey, we'll give you a pick," and to take Grant Williams, and then the Bulls would be like, "We don't take money."
No.
So they would say for draft capital, which like they're in a perfect situation right now to be doing that, and they refuse to do that.
Yeah, Williams is owed $14 million and change in the 26-27 year. And like again, the whole like AK's thing about like, oh, look at we're 2026, it's gonna be great. Like hang tight, 2026, we're gonna have clean books. And then like they signed Trey Jones, which ate into that.
True, and
they brought in Isaac Okoro. Yeah. That ate into that.
Right.
Like,
well, and if you're gonna basically when you have that type of financial flexibility and that cap space that they're creating, you do two things with that. And it's either you go out and you land a big fish, right? Like via trade somehow, or you sign a free agent, which we see more and more. There's rarely ever big free agents on the market, but you either do that or that doesn't work out, and then you have to start absorbing people's salaries and then taking their problems and taking picks.
Right.
And the Bulls
have picks attached to taking the monetary problems.
Yes, and the Bulls have not wanted to do that.
Bulls don't do that.
And that's something that it will be a major problem if in a year from now they don't end up acquiring a type of player that I feel like right now they think they can with that money. They need to be ready to pivot, and the pivot is, all right, we'll take your problem and we'll add picks.
What are you talking about? Dude, they're totally going to like sign Luka next summer. It's happening.
Right. That is probably what they are holding out hope for.
It is crazy. Like the free agency of generations past has just kind of like slowly petered out, and you don't see it a lot anymore. You usually just see star players that are homegrown getting rewarded with big contracts and then another big contract, and then they want to move or the team wants to move them, and then so those big contracts attached to star players are absorbed. Like that's the Bulls were never a team that successfully lured and landed those big name free agents back when that was a thing that you could do, like the summer of 2010.
Right.
Wade, Braun, Bosh all hit the market. Shout out to Carlos Boozer. That's the one we got. But like
shout out to him.
It's a different system now. Yeah. And it doesn't seem like the Bulls are inclined to play the new system.
Well, and that's why it's okay if you can't if you let's say you don't spend that money. The reason why you have to spend the money at the end of the day, right? So like that's why if you don't get that big player, you go out and you take these picks and you give the money, you take someone's problem, or you sign a couple of smaller whatever it is. You spend the money, but the reason you go out and you get these extra picks is because that's another avenue for you to go out and get a big player. So if they want to say this is our one way of doing it right now, which is we have all this money, we're going to try to get somebody, that's fine. But if that fails, then at least have the backup plan of like, okay, we used it to get a bunch of picks, and that's another way we can go out and grab the star that we need. So they just need to be in the business of still finding that star player, which they don't. They say they're going to internally develop one. Which
speaking of star players. Yuki, how do you feel about him?
Right.
Did Bleacher Nation see an uptick in traffic during those summer league games because of Yuki mania?
I mean, a little bit. But
anything Yuki that we tweeted from our team account, we was cooking. People love Yuki.
People love Yuki. I think Yuki can. I think is Yuki their answer? Probably. But I think
let's go.
I love the story. Quote. I thought they should. Yeah, I love the story. I thought they should have definitely given him a two-way, and sometimes too with those two-way spots, like just give it to someone fun. Yeah, and guess what? Yuki is gonna bring people to Hoffman Estates for some Windy City games.
Mm-hmm. I've already heard from 3 people who said they've never gone to a Windy City Bulls game.
Gonna go.
That will be there.
You know how many Yuki chants when there's when the Bulls are losing by 30 in the United Center?
Oh my God!
You know how many Yuki chants are gonna rain out, and he's gonna go in and then hit a 3, and people are gonna go nuts.
It's gonna go crazy.
Yeah. It's gonna be great. I'm waiting for that first email I get all the time. about Windy City Bulls season tickets. We went to a game or two back in the day. Like, I think Fred dragged us to a couple of games. And it was like, oh, Windy City Bulls. I get calls from the Windy City Bulls. We're like, want to come to some games? And I'm like, I'm good. But, hey.
Now they're just going to call you.
Go see Yuki.
Yeah, you're just going to answer the phone. They're just going to whisper Yuki.
Right, that's it. And hang up.
Yuki.
You'll call us.
You'll say, take my money.
I'm fully stocked shelves of Yuki jerseys. I'm telling you, Bulls fans, just tape over the Levine. He's wearing number 8.
That's true.
Tape over it, white Yuki.
Save your dollars. Yeah. We are just about out of time here. Thank you again to our friend Elias Schuster for hanging out with us today. Always a pleasure when we get to see you, man. Glad that you are back on the good side of the Illinois-Wisconsin border.
Me too.
Enjoy the remainder of your offseason as best you can, while we still greatly appreciate churning out the content. Seriously, y'all, BleacherNation.com, Bulls. This guy is covering every tiny little piece of anything Bulls related throughout the offseason. A sicko in written form, just like us podcasting sickos in the dog days. You can follow him, BN_Bulls, for that Bleacher Nation Bulls Twitter account where all their great stuff comes out and their links to their writing. You can follow him, Schuster_Elias, yeah?
Yep.
Boom. Big Dave is a bow, BAWL Sports. I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. Our queen of the controls is the one and only Katie Duffy. Have a wonderful Thursday evening. We'll be back tomorrow with our last show of the week. 4 p.m. Central Time, Friday. Let's start the weekend off right. If you're going to Lala, be safe, children. See you, be good.
Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.